Now they're going to take away my groovy pad in the attic and give it to Marcia. Marcia, Marcia, Marcia. Ah, dang it. Welcome, everybody, to Living Figuratively with your host, Judy. Living Figuratively is the show that asks the question, why not fill your home with the fascinating faces and figures of people that you don't even know? Why not fill your home with figurative art? So today we are getting high in the living room. And by getting high, you know that I mean hanging art high. I just had a major art hanger situation happen where I was able to move around a lot of the paintings that I had hanging here basically for 10 years since the last time we had really tall ladders in here when the painters came. So I have to make some major props to the Bonfoy Gallery art installers who came out and built some scaffolding, and they wheeled the scaffolding around and they had to rebuild it because it didn't go into the next rooms. They did some amazing work. Susan Danko, Carl Anderson, and Josh Ritchie, thank you for hanging my art really high and making the living room look awesome. So since we're right here, the first one I'm going to start with is the one that is right behind me. This one is by Marilyn Solay, who is an iconic figurative artist from the Cleveland area. Everybody has had her as a life drawing instructor. Everybody, that is, but me, because I actually have never met her. But I was fortunate enough to get to know her work after she had passed away. She passed away in 2012 because I curated her work into the Majority Rising show at the Artists Archives, probably back in 2015. And then I also had my inaugural show with her at the Artists Archives, where we had a two-artist show called Secrets, and I just so happen to have the catalog here. You can get the catalog yourself at the Artists Archives, and it's a fabulous catalog. It's half my work, half her work, and it was really a very nice pairing. I was very honored that the Artists Archives let me show my work along with hers, and these are the invitations to the show, which we did where they were little round ones, and I peppered these all over Northeast Ohio. This gorgeous piece, one of the things that I love about it, she composes everything with the eye of a photojournalist. That's how she started her art career. So everything is based on the photographic cropping of the 4x6 or 3x5 cropping. She does not transfer grid or project. She actually draws the works, based on the photographic reference onto the, with charcoal. And this one is especially cool because she's very aware of the picture plane. It's actually, these girls are squished up against the picture plane. And her work always has sort of psychological depth to it. And so, you wonder, there may be a little bit of teenage angst, maybe just having fun. There's psychological complexity and depth to her work, which is one of the reasons why I love it. And I'm thrilled to have one of her gorgeous charcoal pieces in my collection. So let's move on over here. Next one over is one of mine. When each one of my kids graduated from high school, I did a high school senior portrait of them. And this one is my middle son, Eric, who right now is on tech support, doing the sharing and everything for Facebook. It's called Eric's Cube, because at the time, and maybe even still a little bit now, he was very much into the Rubik's Cube, and he could solve the Rubik's Cube in like 30 seconds and flip. It was really kind of cool. And so I did this 5-way portrait of him where it can be hung 4 ways. It can be hung any of the, it's a turned piece of art. I discovered when it showed at the Valley Art Center a couple years ago, master art hanger John Sargent asked me about hanging it in a diamond configuration. And when I saw it, I was like, you know what, that looks gorgeous. So it actually can be hung in all the diamond configurations too, so it really can be hung 8 ways. And I wired it as such on the back, but I'm not taking it off because it's already hanging. Next one over on my wall, my tall wall, is the Max Ginsburg painting that I talked about, I believe in episode 16 a while back. It was the Max Ginsburg episode. It was the only other episode where I dressed up like a guy. This one, I dressed up like Greg Brady. I'm not sure how much I look like him. But anyway, so if you want to hear all about this painting, that's the episode to look up. They're all on my YouTube channel, Judy Tackus. Moving along over here, this is actually, I decided was going to be a transitional spot where the painting hanging right now is one of my pro-choice paintings. This one is called My Body, My Decision. And since it's a transitional spot, it's going to be for paintings that are fairly new, that might travel out to a show, that might go live with a collector, and then I can hang another one in the same size configuration. And many of my Goddess Project paintings are this same size, the 30 by 48. 30 by 48. So the hook is there, and I wire everything identically, so if she goes out to a show, I can put another one up there and have her live there temporarily until she goes out to a show. So now, let's take a big scope at the whole wall. When I decided how I was going to configure things in the whole wall, one of the things that I did was I took a picture of the wall from here, where obviously you get it at an angle. It's not a nice flat picture. But then I started playing with moving things around and putting things that weren't there up there. I printed out approximate sizes for the different pieces. I didn't do it with a graph paper or a grid or anything like that, partially out of laziness and also partially because I knew that I was going to be, when the hangers were here and they were up on their scaffolding, I knew that I was going to do a little bit of composing on the scene, because sometimes you just don't know when you're laying something out whether it's going to look right. But my basic concept for composing a big tall wall like that is it's an abstract bunch of rectangles with roads running between them. And the roads running between them, I don't want the roads to be too thick or too thin. And I want the work to line up, either very obviously line up or definitely not line up. So nothing looks wishy-washy. And that is basically my concept also when I'm decorating the wall full of small. Though the wall full of small, I can do that myself. A wall full of gigantic like this, having the art installers do it, and me just getting the privilege of standing here saying, no, I think it should be 8 inches, no, I think it should be 6 inches, is a wonderful luxury. I've never actually done that before. I've always hung my own work, but this time it just made sense because there were so many pieces to compose. I put a couple of my senior paintings up there with the three seniors. That was from years ago, and now since those are hung on high, they are no longer available, but giclées of them are available. My next one over is my painting called Noig Mami, which is my grandmother, the one that lived with us for my whole time growing up. She's the one that is the mother of my secret aunt, which I talked about in the episode Unsolved Mystery, Family History, Unsolved Mystery. Next one over from that is my Lady in Waiting painting, to add a little color, a little bit of red to sort of pull your eye around. So I've got some monochromatic pieces and I've got some red pieces, and all of that leads us back over to the king of the wall, which is Mark Giangaspero's painting Dave. And that painting is absolutely phenomenal. It is really heavy. It's got a glass frame, it's framed in glass and everything. And that was one of the reasons why I needed the professional art hangers, because it's hard to get it up high like that, but it really commands the wall. Now, let's go on upstairs and get a closer look at Dave. Dave was, I believe, part of the Mark Giangaspero's solo show at the Butler Museum of Art a couple years back. And the Butler Museum of Art has this amazing pastel room where they only show pastel artists and works in pastel. So like the Pastel Society has their show there every year, and different pastel artists also show in there. And Mark Giangaspero's work was, part of a solo show that Judy Carducci, who is another one of my pastel art idols, portrait idols also had a show there. So the Mark Giangaspero, this painting, it has the qualities that I love in a painting where from far away it's compelling and it pulls you in. And then when you get up close to it, which right here on the balcony we can get up close to it, it amazes you even more. Like it surprises you with how gorgeous it is even up close. Because one of the things, my pet peeves is a painting called a butt up close painting where from far away it looks great, but up close, not so much. But anyway, Mark Giangaspero's, it's amazing. And I love the way he is able to make a three-dimensional figure that is this big come out. Because when something is this wide and round, it also has to come out this much. And like he's got that nose, you can just like grab it and hang on to it. I love the calligraphic quality of the strings that are holding on his glasses. And then the glasses themselves, it's sort of got these nice thin lines, and the mustache and the beard, which is so intricately, detailedly done. It's really, really just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. And it's on paper. It's a pastel work on paper. And you can see that the paper is floating in the frame. It really kind of makes you aware that you're just looking at a piece of paper. But it's so, so darn real. So, what I'm going to do now is bring you over to the other side where we will look at another Mark Giangaspero, the blue one. And that one is called Isla, which is there. It does the opposite of what the Dave painting does. So Dave is an older person with a lot of character. So that's one type of character that Mark Giangaspero is especially known for. This painting right here is a small child. And with a name like Isla, I'm not sure whether it's a boy or girl. And maybe that's meant to be ambiguous. But it's also where he's managed to render these gigantic, monumental, round forms. And with somebody that is young like that, it's a lot of real estate to fill with nothing. Like if somebody's got a lot of wrinkles and a lot of character, you've got stuff to put there. You can oh, I'm going to do another wrinkle. Oh, I'm going to do the cheekbone. Oh, there's a bone sticking out. Isla, it's soft and fluffy and puffy and beautiful, and it's a child. So I am amazed how he's able to bring her or his beautiful face out, and also doing that all just in a profile. So he says a lot with just this profile. And that beautiful, beautiful little red spot rubber band at the top of the ponytail is absolutely perfect. And it kind of, I just noticed this. It wasn't planned, but I've got reds going around the room a little bit. So I've got, red painting down here, bit of red here, bit of red everywhere. And that little dot of red just pulls the circle back around. So I didn't even notice that until right this second. I swear it wasn't planned. Now, one of the things that was planned is the direction of Isla's profile. So with figurative art, one of the things that you can do is direct the eye around with the various gestures and directions of the people in your figurative art. You can make them looking straight ahead at the end of a hallway. You can bring them back into the composition to look at the other pieces of art. You can send somebody down the hallway because you want them to turn the corner. You can do all that with the gestures, with the directions, sometimes even just with the eyes. You know, that old cliche where the eyes follow you around the room. The eyes lead you around the room. It's, you know, you can do a lot with figurative art like that. And so Isla is leading your eye in over here to one of my 7 Deadly Sins pieces. This one is called Beloved Pride. And Beloved Pride, this was one of my favorite models from a few years back. And in fact, the last time this painting was shown was at the Butler mid-year, and I think she won an honorable mention, I think, but I'm not, don't quote me on that. But I love this painting, I love the model, and that's why she's hanging high, because she's not going anywhere now. So then I did the same principle on this wall, where I've got the little roads running around, the roads trying not to be thick, not to be too thick, not to be too thin. But I put another one of my smaller 3 portrait seniors. This is another one that I've decided is no longer for sale. She's in my permanent collection, but giclées are available, and a couple of them already are out there. And they really look awesome. The next one over, when I was planning this wall, I actually didn't plan for a little 24 by 24 painting in here. But when we started placing things and had to deal with that diagonal ceiling being there, and this was, you know, if I had had a graph paper, then I would know where things would stop and where things would start. But since we had to deal with that ceiling being there, it turned out that there was going to be room for an extra 24 by 24 there. So while the hangers were here, I went running to my studio, looked at my storage, found that little beauty. It's called Samson the Quick One, and it's called the Quick One because it was a one day portrait, you know, oversized portrait of one of the fabulous models in the Cleveland area. He's a bodybuilder, and he brings props and does these fabulous Frank Franzetta poses and with mucklucks and headdresses and things like that. But this one was one where he was clothed for a portrait session, and I think it works just perfectly there. Scanning around the wall over there in the corner, you may not be able to see it too well, but that is my oldest son, where I did his senior portrait, also a turnable portrait. This one was part of my 7 Deadly Sins phase. That one is called Sweet Sloth, because he looked so sweet when he was sleeping, and sloth is, you know, sleeping is a good thing. And then you come back around, and you've seen these ones before. There's Venus arms herself. Now, this is in a low spot, so this is not her permanent home. She might travel back out to a show sometime. Same with Arachne, who this is not her permanent home. She might travel back out to a show. But for now, that's where they're living. And you know, the other thing, which I forgot to talk about when I was down there, but you can look at it from overhead, is my book table. So I've got all my coffee table books, which are art books, and art books make fabulous coffee table books. There's Broad Strokes, which was given to me by Kathy Rogers. I've got an Ellie Kavanaugh book. There's the Adrian Stein book, an Arabella Proffer book, Francine Krieg, Stanka Kordick, Sherry McGraw, Wim Hildens, and then my Age of Adventure book, which has some of my seniors in it. So you all might be wondering, okay, what was hanging there before I took everything down? Because I did hang things like when we very first moved into the house and built the house. And I'm going to bring you over and show you what was hanging there before. So what was hanging there before, I had these 2 paintings, which are of my favorite model, and these were actually done purely from life because I had her over for several consecutive model sessions for both of these. These were during my Jenny Saville inspired time, and I really wanted to explore doing the figure. These are about 10 years old now, and they make a nice presence. I was just, you know, wanting to change things up, and I had these beautiful Mark Giangasperos that I wanted to get up there. So these came down, and right now I'm offering them for super discounted. You'll have to look at my website. They are offered at very deep discounts, and I will actually deliver to the Northeast Ohio area because they're kind of big. They're 36 by 60, and they make a nice presence. And if you want to bring some pops of red color, these two, they're both available for very, very deeply discounted prices. So let's see. I think that might be it. Oh, the one other thing I want you not to forget, Mark Giangaspero is having right now a show at the Cuyahoga Valley Art Center in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, with Beth Lindenberger. Now I don't want to mess up her name. Who is a ceramicist, and the show is called Detailed, and it was curated by Danielle Dietrich, and I think it might be a very fascinating pairing because Beth Lindenauer is a ceramicist with some beautiful looking, abstract looking ceramic pieces, and then you have Mark Giangaspero's absolutely gorgeous, detailed, light, gigantic, monumental drawings. So I'm definitely going to try to shoot down there and see that. I don't know if I'm going to do a living figuratively from there. I've been kind of on the road a lot, so we'll see about that. But anyway, you can see that the show will be there till March 4th, and all the details are on my website. So be sure to come back for that. That'll be February 4th, 2021, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Phyllis, this one is for you. 7, 7, 7, 8, 8, 8. And if you remember where that reference is from, send me a detailed message, private message. And if you're the first one to get it right, and I want details, if you're the first one to get it right, I will send you a free one of my art books, whether it's the Chicks book, first or second Chicks book, or the Age of Adventure book. But for now, join me next week, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday night. Y'all come back now, you hear?